Welcome to the Bean Pot Debate. I'm your host, Tanner Bell. I'm the site expert at Chowder and Champions. Alongside me today is Evan Cook, who is a contributing writer. We're going to get right into it today, and we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics trade thoughts. We're about 40 or so days away from the NBA trade deadline, and the Boston Celtics are currently in the top, their top three team right now in the Eastern Conference. But one of the issues has been that if you look at a team like the Toronto Raptors or the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Celtics, in Isaiah Thomas's words, actually, are not in the same league. So the Boston Celtics need to acquire players or just get better in general. And one way to do that is via the trade. So, Evan, I ask you, do you think the Boston Celtics are going to make any trades? And what trades would you like to see happen?
I feel like they're not going to make any trades. Trader Danny's been doing this for the last couple of years. He makes all these talks about possible trades that are going to happen, and it never happens. He hasn't made one since the Nets trade. Other than that, I don't think any trades is going to happen. The one I'd like to see is just bringing a big man. The most realistic option, I'd say, is Nerlens Noel. Gordon Hayward's not going to happen. I know that name has been thrown out a lot lately, especially it had to come out within the last week after the Garden crowd cheered Gordon Hayward last week. And some of the national writers thought it was a racial issue, not it. His name has been thrown out as being a possible trade target for the Celtics for the last couple of years. But no, it's like that was actually the case, not the Celtics fans cheering for him because he was white. I had to bring that up just because that pissed me off. But that's not going to happen. The Jazz are actually good. Paul George has been thrown out there. It's not going to happen. The only realistic name I see happening is Nerlens Noel, just because A, he's a big man. They need a big man. And B, he just seems like the most realistic option that's actually going to happen.
I think it's interesting. I think the Gordon Hayward primarily started because of the Butler connection that he had with Brad Stevens. He was his coach at Butler. But Gordon Hayward, prior to signing that contract extension with the Utah Jazz, was a viable trade option for the Celtics. But when they signed him to that contract, there's just no way he's going to come here. And you're right, they're a good team. And there are no intentions of trading away Gordon Hayward, their best player. Just wouldn't make sense for them. On top of that, you have Jay Crowder here, who obviously I think Gordon Hayward's a better player than Crowder, but you'd have to move Crowder in that deal or subsequent deal. So it's unlikely that they're going to do that. There's a lot of names going around. Paul George is not going to happen. You don't trade away a superstar player in the NBA. They'd rather lose him to free agency than trade him away. I think in that situation, it's like Russell Westbrook with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're going to hold on to their superstar because you can't get one. It's so tough to get a superstar player. You bet on getting them to the draft, and that's it. You're not going to sign a free agent superstar unless you're a team like the Golden State Warriors and you somehow lure away a guy like Kevin Durant. DeMarcus Cousins is going to come here, and you probably don't want him to come here. Big attitude problem, and he's going to cost you a ton. And I don't think the Kings want to trade him, even though it's tough when you look at the Sacramento Kings because they're forever rebuilding, and they don't really know what they're doing. But they're not going to trade him. He's the best player. He's one of the best players in the league. Definitely a top 15 player, I think, in the NBA. If you look at a realistic option, I think Nerlens Noel is a great option for the Boston Celtics, but I don't see the 76ers moving him. They have tons of big men down there. Ben Simmons is coming back too soon for them. They're an interesting team that's been trusting the quote-unquote process of the lottery draft. But Nerlens Noel, he had some minutes problems with the coaching down there, not getting enough playing time. But that seems to kind of quieted down lately. But I'd like to see Nerlens Noel come here. I think another name you could talk about is Paul Millsap of the Atlanta Hawks, who would also be a very good option for the Boston Celtics. Something we mentioned before we came on air, Tyler Zeller, the $8 million contract, he can be traded. As of Friday, he can be traded?
I believe so.
And so that's an option for the Boston Celtics. When that contract comes up, maybe you move Tyler Zeller in some kind of deal that gets you a guy like Nerlens Noel. Maybe you trade away a guy like Marcus Smart, which is also a possibility. I'm not the biggest fan of Marcus Smart. But you can see a move like that happening. But I'm kind of coming to the thought that no trade's going to happen. I think they're going to stay put with the team they have. if you watch them, they're not that bad of a basketball team at this point. They will be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference when it's all said and done, and they'll make the playoffs. Will they win a round? It depends who they play, but I don't think they're inclined to make a trade. And this leads me to the next topic that we have: is do you think the Boston Celtics process is continuing to build through the draft? Is there a trade? So, what do you think Danny Ainge has decided to do, Evan, with his team going forward?
I mean, you'd hope it's to win a championship, but this year it's going to be just progress based on last year. That's win a playoff round, possibly get into the Eastern Conference Finals. Right now, this team it's a good NBA team. It's not a great NBA team. I don't if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'll honestly be shocked. But personally, right now, I feel like their ultimate goal is just to win a playoff round and just build on what they accomplished last year, which was actually winning a playoff game.
I think what they hope this year becomes is that they're going to be the 2014-2015 Atlanta Hawks, which that was a team that won 60 games. I think that's what the Celtics team is hoping. And then I think beyond that, they're hoping that these Brooklyn draft picks will find a franchise player. They gambled on Jaylen Brown. Jury's still out there on him, but he hasn't been getting the minutes he needs to really develop properly. But so far, we haven't seen that franchise player out of Jaylen Brown. We've seen flashes of brilliance. Still early, but we don't know. But I think they're hoping that these Brooklyn picks turn out to be a franchise player. And I kind of start to look at a guy like Isaiah Thomas, whose contract's up next season. And you have to wonder whether or not Danny Ainge intends on re-signing Isaiah. Isaiah is averaging over 26 points a game. He's top 10 scorer in the NBA. And he's playing his way to a max contract. Isaiah Thomas is going to get max money after next season. And you have to start wondering whether or not the Boston Celtics want to pay him that money. He's certainly deserving of it. But if you do re-sign him to a max contract, I argue he's not a top 10 player in the league, and you need to give a top 10 player max contract because the Boston Celtics needs to get better. And if you're going to hand out another max contract, you need to get better. And the only way you'd want to re-sign Isaiah is if you can draft the franchise player through the draft. So I'm almost questioning whether or not Danny's going to move on from Isaiah next season, just because they don't want to pay him that money. And he definitely deserves the money. But I don't know. What do you think about Isaiah Thomas, Evan? Do you think he should be re-signed at the Boston Celtics, or do you think they should try to trade him next season?
I thought he was a free agent after this season.
No, I believe he has one more year left on his deal. But he's going to get paid. I'd have to look up specifically, but he's going to get a max contract regardless.
I mean, he's definitely going to get a max contract. I think the Celtics. I'm honestly really, really torn on this one, just because he's an elite scorer in the NBA. He might be one of the, but besides that, he's not very good defensively. Yeah, he is, which does attribute to the fact that he's 5'7". But I would sign him to a max deal just because he is that elite scorer that you can rely on late in the game. And how many players in the NBA can do that?
Yeah, so Isaiah Thomas's contract status, 2016-2017 season, is getting paid $6.5 million this year. Next season, he's getting paid in 2017-2018 season, $6.2 million, and then in 2018, he's a free agent at 28 years old. I agree as a max contract, and I'm very torn on this as well. I mean, they don't have to do it this season. They have until next season to make that potential move. I agree he's a top scorer, but is he a top 5 guard in the NBA? That's kind of the question you have to start asking yourself. You got guys like Steph Curry. You got guys like Kyrie Irving. And then you got a guy like
5 guys in front of him.
Russell Westbrook. You got a guy like Kemba Walker you could put in front of Isaiah. John Wall. So you start to put these names ahead of him, and you wonder what conversation do you want to be in? And do you need a top 5 guard to win in the NBA? The Celtics need a top 5 player. You need a top 5 player to win a championship. And whether or not that's at the guard position, we don't know. Avery Bradley is never going to be that kind of guy. Jay Crowder's not going to be that kind of guy. Al Horford's good, but he's not a top 30 player in the NBA. He's probably top 10 at his position, but he's not top 5. So you kind of come to the situation where the Celtics, if they do re-sign Isaiah Thomas, they're going to continue to be a mediocre team unless they can find a franchise player through the draft. So you kind of have that issue. Do you want to spend the money on Isaiah and potentially lose out on a star? But you're not going to sign a free agent star in Boston. So you run into all these dead ends where it's like you want to give the money to a star who is potentially better than Isaiah, but no one's going to be willing to sign here because in the NBA that just doesn't happen often. Kind of a tough situation for Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics. Evan, you and I can both thank God that we're not in that situation because quite literally he could lose his job if he does this wrong. Um, like who knows? I mean, he's going to have years at that point if nothing goes right. And the Celtics' goal is to win a championship. But how long do you think ownership is going to put off for Danny Ainge to just continue to be in the middle of the pack? I know it's tough to move up in the NBA, but there's a point where change might need to happen. And obviously, they're a good team now, but whether or not they're going to take that championship step. And Ainge has never really been that good in the draft, and he hasn't had a big marquee trade. I mean, you can say the Isaiah Thomas trade when they got him was a big deal, the Jay Crowder trade, but when he made those moves, there was no way he was planning on being big moves like the KG trade.
Oh,
So,
God, no.
so it'll be
No.
interesting. Yeah, he was not planning on it, and I wonder how long because no one talks about it in this town. Celtics fans generally are pretty easy on it, but there has to be an expiration date on Danny Ainge. Basically, an ultimatum saying you have to show progress, and they have shown progress every year. But I don't see this team becoming a championship team. And I think if you re-sign Isaiah, I love Isaiah Thomas. I'm so torn on it, but I don't think he gets you that championship. But I don't think you can sign a free agent that will. If that makes sense.
You won't be able to sign a free agent that will. The first free agent that the Celtics have signed in memory was Al Horford.
Exactly. It's going to have to come through the draft, and hopefully the Brooklyn Nets get to that number 1 overall pick, and hopefully Danny Ainge doesn't draft the Greg Oden.
As of right now, the Nets got the best shot of getting the number 1 overall pick. If you get the number 1 overall pick, and it's not clear from the beginning that that pick is going to be an elite player in the NBA, like it's clear that he's not going to be a John Wall or Kyrie Irving. That's bad. Like, if he doesn't do that, you need to make a trade, like, almost ASAP. Like, I would give it maybe the following offseason, give that literally the 1 year gap year. And if he doesn't make that trade, there's a problem.
Yeah, if I'm Danny Ainge and I'm sitting in the draft and I see that there's no I wouldn't say LeBron James, but you're right, like a Kyrie Irving or a John Wall or someone who's like a standalone, this is the best player and he's going to be a franchise player, I think you trade down and you try to trade for a star in the league. I don't know. It's a tough situation to be in. And they're still several years out from being a contending team if their plan is to find a franchise player through the draft, because we've seen really good players come out of college and top 5 picks and they don't produce right away. Jaylen Brown hasn't done it. Ben Simmons was injured in Philadelphia. You've seen Jahlil Okafor has had the issues. Joel Embiid. Year after year, you see players take time to develop and adjust to the NBA. So I think the Celtics are still several years out from being a championship contending team. The only way that changes is if they can land a free agent, if they can trade for a star. That's the only way I see them winning closer than that, but I still think they're like 3 or 4 years away from winning a championship. And whether or not Isaiah is there for that, I don't know. A lot of guys might not be there for that. So I don't know. Well, when do you think the next time they're going to win a championship is, Evan?
They're minimum 3 years out.
Yeah, exactly. Unless something drastic happens, if Danny Ainge makes some kind of ballsy move, it's going to be 3 or 4 years.
I mean, more like 2 or 3 ballsy moves.
Yeah, that's true.
About 2 or 3 ballsy moves.
I think they're one. If they could make one move where Nerlens Noel doesn't get you that, you'd have to make a move where you're upgrading your Marcus Smart 6th man role along with upgrading your big man. If you could upgrade that, you might be set. What's that is? What do you get? Like a Kemba Walker somehow and Nerlens Noel? Maybe that gets you, but are you better than Cleveland right there? No, probably not.
It might get you to the Eastern Conference Finals.
It might.
Like, and don't get me wrong, it makes you a pretty dang good team, but once you get to the Eastern Conference Finals, you're not better than Cleveland.
Yeah,
they have guys there.
That's Kemba Walker and Nerlens Noel. That doesn't get you there. You need so much more. It's tough. That's a tough situation. That's what the NBA is. It's so you have the 2 or 3 teams at the top, and there's nothing underneath that's going to compete with them. So I don't know. They could move up to the second seed. I think if he makes the right moves at the trade deadline, I could see them moving up to the. I could see them passing the Raptors. They could. They probably won't. And I don't even think one move probably gets it past the Raptors, to be honest. We're going to move on to the next topic of discussion here on Beanpot Debate. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at CNC Fansided. And you can follow us on Facebook at Chowder and Champions. Our next topic of discussion sent the Red Sox Twitter world into frenzy. It made a nation of fans kind of contemplate something, and it was David Ortiz sending out a cryptic tweet last night. At some point, he sent out this tweet to the Boston Globe. All it was at Boston Globe, and that was it. And he never kind of clarified it, never deleted it. The Boston Globe replied to the tweet twice. A bunch of fans retweeted it, and many contemplated whether or not Ortiz was trying to tell people something. Evan, what is your thoughts on this cryptic tweet from Big Papi?
Somebody got into his phone and decided to go to his Twitter and then tweet, and then they were going to tweet at the Boston Globe, and they said, screw it. So then they meant to click out, but they clicked tweet, and then they got out, and Ortiz hasn't looked at it since. Has Ortiz tweeted since?
No, the last thing he retweeted, I think it was a couple days ago, because that was the other thing before that was he was retweeting like Isaiah Thomas's, like vote for Isaiah for All-Star. That was like the last thing he did before that. He hasn't done anything since then. I have no idea. Honestly, you're probably right. You're probably right. Maybe for all we know that he had an issue getting his paper that day.
But by the way, he did erase that tweet.
He erased it.
He erased it.
Really? Wow.
I'm on his Twitter right now. Yeah, he erased
breaking it. News. Breaking news. Breaking news siren, you know? He erased the tweet. See, that's even more interesting. So I want to know we're never going to find out what he did.
No, it's literally just an accidental.
Oh, no, it's still there. It's still there. Still there. Cancel the breaking news siren. I see it. I see it. It's still here.
On David Ortiz's official Twitter account.
Yeah, you got to go to tweets and replies. He replied to something. But I don't see the tweet that they tweeted that he replied to.
Okay, that makes sense.
Tweet's still up. It should be down. I honestly don't know. He's kind of been teasing fans, kind of the all off season, to be honest. Do you not get that same kind of feel? He's kind of been a little mean, if anything. In the Players Tribune article, he said that he was working out, which he probably was, but he's kind of been hinting this stuff publicly. I mean, he's not coming out of retirement, but he's kind of been teasing fans a little bit. You get that kind of an impression? He might. He very well could play. I kind of get the feeling he wants to play in that.
I mean, he plays in it. I really don't care. I don't like if it keeps one other Dominican player from the Red Sox from going to the World Baseball Classic, Ortiz plays, I'm fine with it.
Hanley's still going, baby. Hanley Ramirez, the heart and hustle of the Boston Red Sox.
I mean, I'm not really looking anything into it. Like I said, I think it was just like a mistake tweet that he was going to tweet something at them, and he said, screw it. Because why else would you just tweet at Boston Globe?
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to get in touch with John Henry. Honestly, I don't know. Probably nothing. It honestly was nothing. And I think I tried to read into it, but you can't. You just can't read into it. It's nothing. And maybe it'll probably get deleted. But it's interesting enough, and continues the idea of fans wanting him to come out of retirement. We're going to move on to the next topic of discussion, and it is the biggest topic of discussion because it is the NFL playoffs. The New England Patriots are going to take on the Houston Texans in the divisional round. That is the night game this Saturday on CBS at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. The Patriots opened as a 16-point favorite at home. And the money in Vegas was still going on the Patriots. The betting was going on the Patriots, and they believe that it's going to be bigger than the 16-point spread. Evan, what is your thoughts on this preview, this matchup that is coming up in the divisional round for the New England Patriots?
Everyone's overconfidence that the Patriots are going to win this game scares me. That's literally all I can say about that. Don't get me wrong, I still think they're going to win the game, but the fact that everyone is betting their money on the Patriots scares me.
The fact that there's a 16-point spread, like the 16-point favorite in the divisional round of a playoff game in the NFL, that is unheard of.
That's a lot of points. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think the Patriots will win going away, but it scares me just that sole fact. Bill has tried to keep it out, like keep it in the locker room. Like that doesn't mean anything. Like you still need to win. Like go out there, play, and win the game. The coaching staff has been doing that. That's what the Patriots do. But the fact that it's 16 points and everyone's saying the Patriots are going to win this game and nobody's giving Houston a shot scares me.
Bulletin board material for Bill O'Brien and the staff. Houston scares me in general just because they have personnel that know the Patriots very well. Vince Wilfork, Bill O'Brien, and there's a couple of other guys are slipping my mind right now.
Romeo Cornell.
Yep. Mike Vrabel, I think, is working for them too.
I mean, saying that Brady's numbers against Romeo Cornell are like it's just over 2 touchdowns per game, like just shy of 300 yards, like a 70% completion percentage. He's had pretty good numbers against them. And I don't think he's thrown a pick against his defense.
It's just these guys know the Patriots well. And I don't think a Bill O'Brien team is going to be discouraged by a 16-point thing. I know I was reading Vince Wilfork's comments today, and he said that's meaningless. And he's right. The betting lines don't really mean anything. Obviously, the Patriots are heavy favorites. I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to win big. Brock Osweiler, I was impressed with what he did last week against the Miami Dolphins. Not the Miami Dolphins, Oakland Raiders. They played Oakland.
Yes, they played Oakland.
They played Oakland. I was impressed with what he did. He found DeAndre Hopkins, which has been his issue all year, and I just don't think he's going to hold it together. Lamar Miller, the back, doesn't really scare me that much. Jadeveon Clowney looked good, but the fact is, without J.J. Watt, there's no two-headed monster there, and the Patriots have been pretty good historically at basically keeping off one of the goods. So when J.J. Watt was healthy, they were able to kind of eliminate him as a threat. So with Jadeveon Clowney there, I think they're going to be able to eliminate him. I think Brady's going to get his way. The thing is, everybody picking the Patriots does worry the hell out of me. I don't like it. I like being underdogs with this team.
Just remember this.
But the Patriots always find a way.
Yeah, just remember this. In week 3, it was a pick-em, and they won 27-0 with a third-string rookie quarterback. Anything can happen in the NFL.
That's true. When they played the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl, only one person picked the New England Patriots?
Nobody had the Patriots a shot. And for 2 weeks,
I think it was like
all Deflategate. Bill basically said, no, this is what it is. Put the media in a body bag. We went out to Arizona. Crowd put the media in a body bag. Made all the attention on the game. And then once the game happened, the rest is history. Say what you want. Okay. I mean, I had to get this out. Saying what you want about Pete Carroll throwing it on the Butler interception. That the Patriots were a way better team that day than the Seattle Seahawks. Sorry,
they were, especially in the second half. They were 10 times the team the Seattle Seahawks were. But I think I don't like being the favorite. I think the Patriots do better when they're technically the underdog, but I'm not worried about a divisional round. I know it's kind of selfish to think that way, but the fact is, I don't think Brock Osweiler is going to stand a chance against the New England defense that has looked really, really good. The Houston offense isn't that good. So I think the Patriots will get their way. And I'm looking ahead to the AFC Championship game already and the NFC Championship game as well. So I'm going to give my predictions first. I'm going to hand it off to you, Evan. My AFC Championship prediction is going to be the New England Patriots versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And my NFC prediction is going to be the Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks, I think. I think that makes sense.
Green Bay and Seattle, yeah, that can make sense.
Yeah, Seattle and Green Bay. So that's my championship prediction. Evan, what is yours?
I think you're going to see Patriots Steelers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think the Pittsburgh offense is just that much better than the Green Bay than the Kansas City defense. I think they go into Arrowhead and I think they win. On the NFC, I think Green Bay does win. That's actually the one team that actually scares me in the NFC. That team is hot right now. the Cowboys, I've been saying it all year. They might be one of the most overrated one seeds I have ever seen.
I think it's the inexperience, really. I think with the rookie quarterback and the rookie running back, I think it's not the overrated. I think it's just the inexperience of being there. The team like Seattle, Green Bay, they've been in that situation before. They know how to win.
And I'm not gonna argue with that. But on the and then for the Atlanta Seahawks game, I want to say Seattle, but this past weekend, I know they beat Detroit by 20, but all of that was in garbage time. They had a tough time with
And it was the
it.
Detroit Lions.
I'm gonna take a ballsy pick right here, and I'm picking the Falcons. That offense this year has just been fantastic from the Atlanta.
That is a big pick. That really is actually a big pick. I don't think many people are picking the Falcons, but I think that's actually kind of a smart pick because if Matt Ryan actually can play the way he's played all season, he's been an MVP candidate player, might win the MVP. I think they actually do stand a chance against the Seattle Seahawks.
Not to mention that this might be the best team Matty Ice has had in Atlanta.
And they're in Atlanta too. They're at home in that dome. Yeah, they definitely stand a chance. I think a lot of people are overlooking them. I think Green Bay actually rolls to the Super Bowl. That team is so hot. They are hot. That scares me. Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. That guy in crunch time. Like I love Tom Brady in crunch time, but Aaron Rodgers, wouldn't that be insane? Like a Super
I
Bowl,
think it's Brady.
a Super Bowl where it's
I think we're finally going to get the Brady's Rodgers Super Bowl that we've been talking about for 3 years.
Imagine like the fourth quarter of that Super Bowl, the quarterback's just duking it out, going throw for throw, punch for punch. That could happen. The thing is, Aaron Rodgers is so hot that scares the hell out of me. That really does scare the hell out of me. The thing is, Jordy Nelson is injured, so that is kind of a break. But Aaron Rodgers is so hot, I don't think it matters. That'd be cool. That'd be a fun Super Bowl right there. That would be a tough Super Bowl, but that'd be fun. And I kind of don't. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Seattle again, but I kind of would like to see a Green Bay Patriots Super Bowl. But we got to get by the divisional and the AFC Championship. So it's not an easy road ahead. I think the AFC Championship game, even if it is the Steelers, like you said, the Steelers, I picked the Chiefs. I think even either team would give the Patriots a pretty tough play at home. I think the Steelers would be a much tougher opponent, though, in New England than the Chiefs.
I would actually say the Chiefs just because of the defense.
Yeah, but Andy Reid always comes in. He messes it up a little bit, and I think the thing is that I think Tom Brady would find a way and Josh McDaniels would find a way to pick apart a defense. I think a tougher offense would be a tougher opponent for the New England Patriots. But that's just me. I don't know. I see where you're coming from, but I think the Patriots offense can kind of work around when it comes to the defense is sometimes a little bit issue. But the defense has been so good. I think we forget they're like one of the number one defenses in the NFL. And it's crazy how midseason they traded Jamie Collins and people were calling them a very bad defense, and it turns out they're one of the best defenses in the Bill Belichick era, which is a hell of a turnaround. Matt Patricia is going to get a head coaching job, actually. I think somewhere he's going to get an offer. That's not a topic, but I think I should ask you: do you think Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels are going to leave the team?
If one of them leaves, I think it's Matt Patricia.
I think you're right. I think they're both going to get head coaching job offers. I think that's like kind of a given at this point. I think what's going to happen is, I think, Josh McDaniels, I think he's important. I think with Patricia, I think the Patriots can find a way to work without him. I think they can find another defensive coordinator. Maybe it's Sexy Rexy Ryan. Maybe. Who knows? But I think Bill Belichick has enough experience to kind of maintain and find a defensive coordinator and kind of help out himself because he has experience doing that because he was a defensive coordinator. I think Josh McDaniels is so key because of Tom Brady, and I think McDaniels isn't going to go anywhere he can't have a quarterback, and I think Patricia would do that. I think Patricia would go to a place that necessarily doesn't have a quarterback in place that's a star, where I think McDaniels can be a little bit more picky because he's an offensive-minded guy. I think McDaniel stays, and I think Kraft will probably promise him the head coaching job when Bill retires, which who knows? Who knows when that's going to be?
The only thing I think keeps McDaniels from even getting an offer, I think Patricia gets an offer, and if he takes it or not, that's the thing. the thing about McDaniels is he still used a first round pick on Tim Tebow.
He also drafted like Demaryius Thomas and a couple other guys that won a Super Bowl though for the Denver Broncos.
He still drafted Tim Tebow in the first round.
Yeah, he did. Tim Tebow was like the greatest quarterback of all time in college coming out. So a lot of people make a lot of dumb draft picks.
What was his draft? What did his draft card look like?
I know you got Cyrus Jones wasn't a great draft pick for Bill.
There's also a second round pick, not a first.
There's a lot of bad draft picks. I think McDaniels won't get crucified for that. And inevitably, a team he helped build did win a Super Bowl a couple seasons later. That was more to do with Peyton Manning, if anything. That's the end of our show at the Beanpot Debate. Thank you for listening. This is presented by Chowder and Champions, a fan-sided website. My name is Tanner Bell. Alongside me today was Evan Cook. Make sure to like, subscribe, download, whatever you want to do. Follow the blog, chowderandchampions.com. Until next week, have a great week, and definitely enjoy the New England Patriots, Houston Texans divisional round playoff game.